All right, yeah. I mean, I guess I could just start by introducing myself, I guess. John Holland from the Bronx. I just wanted to put this whole project together, bring the generations together. My father, to my right, John Holland, Sr., and my uncle, Milton Wadlar, who's really the focus of this. He's been a pillar in the community in Mount Vernon, mentor to a bunch of guys, a referee for years, and just someone who, I've always looked up to, and someone who definitely has a lot to share. So I just want to start off with just introducing everybody, and I guess take it from there.
Well, like you said, my name is John. His name is John. He's my son, whom I'm very proud of. And Milton is my friend, whom I first met in 1956, I think it was. 55. It was right before I went to high school.
Right.
I had moved from in Harlem, up around LaSalle Street, down to Chelsea, the Elliott Chelsea houses. It was the Elliott houses.
Yes.
It was in the winter, so it was kind of like I finished up my 8th grade there, and then the next year went to high school. But the beauty part is, like, during that time of the 8th grade and the first year of high school, I met Milton in the park. And it's been a friendship ever since then. It's been really great.
Well,
let me ask you this, Milton.
Yeah.
What was it that, how did I know we had the softball courts over there and everything. How did exactly you and I become friends? I know we used to play ball.
I think it was, not what I think, it was basketball.
Basketball.
It was basketball because I was playing baseball. It was basketball, and what that particular day, what's the guy who did the boxing?
Emil Griffith.
Yeah, but
Gil Clancy.
Clancy came out, and with him, Emil Griffith, and he took his robe off, and we had to get off the court because he took pictures of Emil Griffith.
This was in the gym?
No, this was outside.
Okay,
court.
across the street.
Yeah, and then you came over, you were standing beside me, and I was talking to you, and I said, I have a big influence at St. Peter's Episcopal Church because I was counseling there at an early age of...
Yeah, you couldn't have been more than 12 or 13.
Yeah, I was about 12 or 13, but they put me on staff because I always brought people there to the church, How can you bring... I used to bring 10, 15, 20 people. That was the guys, but the girls followed the guys. So you're talking about, we were in the gym, maybe about 50 people every day I brought with me, So I told you, I said, well, we're gonna play basketball, would you like to come? You said, sure, I don't mind. And another guy that I invited was Major Thrower.
He was the guy on the bike all the time.
Yeah, they used to pick on him all the time. And after he graduated from high school, he went in the Marines. When he came home, they weren't picking on him no more.
I guess not.
What he learned in the Marines, he learned jiu-jitsu, martial arts in those days, and naturally in the Marines, they teach you to kill. See, people don't understand. They say, oh, well, you go to college and we'll educate you. No way, Jose. Remember, 3 years later, they were in the Vietnam War. See, they really started the Vietnam War in 1958, There's 59, 60, and it kept on going. See, a lot of people don't understand that. But I was always in the church. I had to go to St. Peter's in the morning at 6 o'clock because they had the morning service. That was on the side. I was an altar boy. Then after that, I went back home and I sold papers. I made $5 going to the store for the Irish, Jewish, Italian, German.
Were you born in New York?
Yeah, I'm born in Bellevue Hospital,
Okay.
December 30th, 1942,
Okay.
at 1:55 a.m. I'm born.
Okay.
And
Christmas morning.
yeah,
No, that's
no,
December 30th.
yeah, December 30th. That was just before New Year's. I come from a family of 11 sisters and 9 brothers.
20 kids?
21. I'm the that one, and I'm the last. It's only me and Barbara left.
I remember going to the funeral for your brother who
Yeah, you have to shoot because we didn't have food to eat. I remember eating peanut butter and jelly, and it tastes like steak when you don't have nothing. Heating up milk and putting honey in it, you know? We went to the CYO, and those nuns fed us. We never had candy, we had food. And I don't know why the nun, every time we left, she always gave me a bag. Never gave it to Cleo, Barbara, Joy. Those are 3 of my sisters I grew up with. She always gave it to me because I guess she seen me at the table. I never left nothing on the plate.
I'm sorry.
I ate up everything. And when she gave us an orange, I used to suck the peel of the orange, you know, step on it. The bus was 10 cents. The subway was 10 cents. You know, we used to go to the movies on Saturday, and my mother used to buy 3 long heroes.
Sandwiches.
Matter of fact, 4. No, just the heroes, 4.
Just the bread?
Yeah, one was for Joy, Barbara, Cleo, and me. And she would cut it open, and she always took the bread out the middle of both of them. And she would fill that. Now, if my mother hit the number for a penny or 5 cents, we would get some meat. Other than that, she would fix an egg, peppers, onions. In the morning, she would toast bread because we had an oven. My father was a longshoreman. And she would toast the bread, put butter on it, and cinnamon. And she made so much. She made honey. You know, we didn't have to buy ice cream. My father made ice cream. He had the thing. I used to turn it. And it was just growing up. It was a different world. My sisters hung out with these 4 girls. One was Irish, Jewish, Italian, and one was German. And they would go everywhere with us. And, you know, growing up,
Like where were some of the places you went?
we would go to, say, Madison Square Garden. The garden was on 59th Street and 8th Avenue. We would go up there just to walk around.
52nd.
No, 49th Street and 8th Avenue, Madison Square Garden was.
Okay.
And then we would go to the post office on 34th Street and run the steps. We would go to Central Park and play in there. And when the kids came over to bother us, all those girls, Irish, Jewish, Italian, German, they were tall. They were like 6'2" and 6'3". They would tell the people, don't mess with them. They're with us.
Why were they messing with you in the first place?
Because we were black. We were black.
What?
We were black and they wanted to mess with us. So the Irish girl said, I fight with me brothers. I remember that accent. I fight with me brothers. Do not touch them. And the guy said to her, oh, I'll beat your ass up or something like that. So 8th Avenue was 2 ways. So a truck driver,
two-way traffic.
yeah, the truck driver stopped and he was delivering things in the Museum of Natural History. That's where you have Roosevelt on the horse and an Indian and a black man standing beside him.
They just took that down, you know?
Yeah, okay. Now,
And we're talking about 1940, 1950.
I'm talking about 1940. It was, Jackie Robinson was in the majors, so it must have been 47, 48. Okay? And I was the little one, but I had to go with my sisters. That girl, that Irish girl, took off her earrings, little Dot took her dress and tied it up and said, I fight with me brothers, come, come. So the guy said, I'll smack the devil out of you. The sugar, you know, he cursed at her. So the guy came over to him and said, you don't put your hand on a woman. You don't put your hand on her. And the kid said, what you say? That man had a hand that was like maybe Connie Hawkins, or he had a hand so big when he hit that kid turned blue, red, orange, and green. And he said, I'm gonna wait here till you go get your father.
This was the kid who was threatening you.
Threatened us and the girl.
And the girls.
So he never, the kid said, I'll be back. He never came back with his parents. This was, I don't know, was he Italian or what, but he was big. He was awesome, see. But just growing up in my neighborhood.
Where exactly was your neighborhood?
My neighborhood was Chelsea Hell's Kitchen. Chelsea Hell's Kitchen. The Hudson Guild did a lot for us.
Right.
They used to feed you because we used to go to CYO in the morning at 7:30 and eat breakfast. We came back there at 12 o'clock and ate lunch. Then from there, we went to PS 33 on 26th and 27th Street and 9th Avenue, because the health station was right down the block from it.
Right, right.
We used to go there and eat lunch. And I remember my sister Cleo say, Milton, you know, you eat up everything, but I was hungry. I didn't play baseball or basketball for money.
Could I just interrupt you for a
Yeah.
second? Because I know this is seems a little getting a little emotional for you. When I was growing up on LaSalle Street and right off 125th Street, one of the pleasant memories that I can remember is there was a woman there by the name of Peaches. She was the prettiest woman for a 4 or 5 or 6 year old that you could see. Bronze complexion, black hair, always wore black clothes, and had a little black dog. And I don't know who she was or what she was. In fact, I didn't even ever hear her voice. But to this day, I can see her.
See her picture.
I can see her picture. Was there anybody like that in your neighborhood that you can remember as being outstanding, like, you know, wow, a
Yes.
beautiful woman? Who,
Yes.
What?
Yes, her name was Chanel. She was about 6'2". She looked like Lena Horne.
Yeah.
You know, she was built, the men ran after her.
Yes.
You know?
That's Peaches, too.
Yeah, and I used to go to store for her. So one time I went to the store for her, she called me, told me to go to the store for her. But when she came to the door, she only had panties and a bra on.
What?
So, I'm a young man. I'm like 12. I think I was 12 or 13. So she said, go get this. And when I came back, the door was cracked a little bit. So I pushed the door open, and there she was laying in the kitchen with just her panties on. And I'm looking at her, I said, oh gee, I got her stuff. What shall I do? So I went in the apartment looking at her. Now I'm a young man. I got excited, all over I got excited. So I went across the street and got Joe. And Joe came over, he said, I handle it, So I didn't say nothing else. I just left. But I seen Joe picking her up. She was a big woman, and taking her in the bedroom. Joe was about 6'4".
Who was Joe?
Joe was, she went with Constant, Joe's brother. Constant was a woman, see. So growing up, I knew about men going with men and women going with women, see. So Constant went with Chanel. And I used to see her because all my brothers lived on the second floor. The girls lived on the first floor. And what happened was, Raymond, my brother Raymond, he was the second born. But when you come from a big family and you have sisters, Annie was the second born. No, Annie was the firstborn. So you always said that Annie was not the firstborn, so she could get married. See, that she was younger. So Raymond always said he was the firstborn, but it wasn't. Annie was the firstborn. My mother had her at 13. 13 years old. That was after my father came from the First World War.
How old was your father?
My father he was born 1890. My father was born. My mother was born 1903.
So he was about 13 years older than her.
Yeah. And also, I'm just skipping, when I went down south, I found out that me and Cleo went, that he had other kids down there too.
Your father?
Yeah. He had other kids. But I learned a long time ago not to speak on anything, to mind your business, see? So I met all my sisters and brothers down there that he had kids. All my uncles never went to school, but they were Buffalo soldiers. So when they brought me down...
Explain to some people who don't know, like him, he meant all
Okay.
Buffalo soldiers.
Buffalo soldiers were in the West. They ran the frontier. Like you see John Wayne with the cavalry running the frontier. That's not true. Some of them did, but the Buffalo soldiers were the one who ran the frontier. My uncle, my father explained to me. My father never went to school. My uncles never went to school. But they ran the frontier, and they all had white horses, or gray horses. I got to meet some of my uncles, and I always thought that I was going to be tall, because my uncles were all like 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". So when I went, because this is down in Emporia, Virginia, I went with Cleo. This was 1948, 49.
Right, you'd be about 6 or 7.
Yeah, and when I went down there, they took me coon hunting. Now, they had the dogs, so the dog's supposed to chase the coon. They had me chasing the coon. So
Why is that?
I don't know. I had to follow orders. But before they took me hunting, they took me over to the white man's farm. And they said, see him? And he was limping. And they said,
The white guy.
yeah, the white guy was limping. And they said he's gonna have to get his leg taken off because he went hunting with a loaded gun, with a loaded rifle. He said, you don't go hunting with a loaded rifle. You break it down, you put it over your shoulder. You keep the bullets in your pocket. So when you see something, you just take it off and put it in and you shoot it. He went loaded with a loaded shotgun and tripped and shot his leg. Mm-hmm. You don't do that, okay? And they showed me when they caught the coon, they caught him, you know, they killed it, they skinned it, they showed me how to skin. That's how I know how to skin or clean a fish. I always knew how to clean a fish, you know, and people cut the head off. They never cut the head off. They used to eat the whole fish, even the eyes. I couldn't eat the eyes, but I ate all the meat around there. I know how to cut it open and take the bone out, okay? I learned all that. And it was a whole experience. So I ate coon down there.
Really?
Now, I'm just gonna skip. After the summer, when I went home, I said, Mama, they took me coon hunting and I had a lot of coon. She said, oh, that's very good. She said, so now when we catch the rats, because the rats were big like that, she said, that's the rat family. You can eat it. She said, I said, no, not rat. She said, the coon is nothing but a big rat, which is true. I found out. She said, but I'm not gonna let you eat the body. I'm gonna cut the legs off and the tail, and you can eat that. Now, 1956, 57, they made a picture, King Rat, and I went to see it. Now, I'm jumping ahead because I used to go around to the theaters and help them clean a theater out. You know how they clean a theater out? From the back to the front, you sweep it, then you go to the next aisle and sweep it. So I used to do the Elgin, the RKO, the Terrace, and the Chelsea. And the guy used to give me passes. So I wasn't with the other guys who were drinking, smoking, getting high, you know, robbing and everything, and shooting crap, because first place, I was always hungry. So I'm not betting nothing to lose nothing. If I had a quarter on me, that was good, but I made $5 a day. I can shine shoes, okay? I sell papers and everything. So I was shining the shoe and and the white guy said, why you spit on my shoe? I said, that makes you shine. He said, well, spit on the other one. I spit on the other one, and it makes you shine. Now, when I was growing up, most of the men wore white socks. So you had to know when you wash the shoe not to get that on his socks. So my mother said, why don't you, I'm gonna make you something that sticks on the side of the shoe that you won't do it. So when I did that, the guy said, oh, this is the first time I seen it. There was a shoe shine parlor on 18th Street and 8th Avenue. I worked there 4 days a week, and I made $20 a day. I took that money and I gave it to my mother.
What was her name again?
Pearl Wadlar. Her maiden name was Withers. On her side of the family, there was 22. All her sisters were giants. My mother got sick in birth, so she was short. She always said, oh, I'm 5 foot. My mother was only 4'9".
There's something that I never asked you, but it kind of disturbs me. I was brought up watching John Wayne and Cisco Kid,
Yeah.
all those westerns, and all these cavalry pictures, you know.
Yeah.
And the Buffalo Soldiers weren't usually prominent, but you say they were prominent in the West.
Yes, they were.
And one of the things that disturbed me when you mentioned it was that out West, all the indigenous people known as Indians were massacred and slaughtered by the cavalry.
Yes.
And you say that they were prominent, the Buffalo Soldiers were prominent in this destruction of these people?
No, they weren't. I mean, yes, they did kill Indians, but they didn't kill them the way the white people killed them.
Yeah,
See?
but killing is killing.
They didn't scalp them. The Buffalo Soldiers never took the scalp. Matter of fact, let me go back. My father is a Cherokee. His mother was a Cherokee. So when Annie went down south, my father said, Annie is not going to get along with the people down south. He was wrong. Annie graduated from school. She was smart. She got along with everybody down there. They loved her, Annie down south. And Annie explained to me, she said, your grandmother, when I went down south, she went down there, it must have been, Annie was born in the 20s. Raymond was born in the 20s, and Scotty was born in the 20s. All my other older brothers, because I am a Second World War baby. I'm born 42. The war started December 7th, 1941. I wasn't even thought about at that time. My father was in the First World War, and what he went through, he was wounded, and they wouldn't give him blood. They gave the German blood, the German prisoner blood, before they gave my father blood.
He fought.
And he fought, but what happened was when he went to war, see, in the First World War, my father explained to me that the blacks were not supposed to go to the war. There was a white politician woman from the South. She went to Washington and she said, please send those niggers to war, because if you don't, when the war is over, America is going to be changed. Because she said right now, before the war, you had the white women going with blacks and having babies because they had no birth control. They were having babies.
Where? In the South?
All over. Up here in the South, the total South. I mean, you catch the ones in the most racist in Mississippi. Oh yes, the white women were going with the blacks. They made a picture about To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
That was done in the 30s. So I'm just telling you, before that, they did it. Then they made another picture, Mandingo. Now this was done way down in the South in the 1866, where this guy went to marry this woman, supposed to be his third or fourth cousin, and she was already having sex with her uncle. So she thought this guy didn't know. The guy went with her and she said, what's wrong? He said, you're no virgin. She said, yes, sir. He said, please, I have over 200 slaves. 100 of them are women, and I break them in, and you're not no virgin. So she was upset. Him and her husband got upset because they were married first. So they had Ken Norton playing Mandingo. And she used to call him up to the room, and she got pregnant from him. But before, when they were buying the slaves, James Mason told his son, I want you to get a mandingo so we can have more slaves. Mm-hmm. And people don't understand where the word comes from, excuse me from saying motherfucker, because this Ken Norton screwed all the women, whether it was my sister, my mother, or anything, to have babies. That's where that
and this was going on in real life.
Yes, it went on real life down there. The real life, it went on down there. So what happened is people don't understand the system. Even going back, not as far as that, I learned from your father, because I used to like the Lone Ranger. And I found out the Lone Ranger was black. He was a black man. He wasn't a white man. And he traveled with an Indian companion.
Right. Bass
See,
Reeves.
So people think that the Lone Ranger was white. He wasn't white. He was a black man. All right? And another thing is, you got to understand why Bob Gibson, Willie Mays, Ernie Banks, Kurt Flood, Billy Williams, Jenkins, all the first 150 blacks that went to the majors didn't come from the minor leagues. They came from the Negro League. They were already pros. So now, in the last 5 years, what they want to do is, the Major League talk about, they want to include all their records into the Major League records. Because when Sosa and McGwire was hitting all those home runs, they told the cameraman, only go up certain, don't go up too high.
What do you mean?
Meaning that to show the people who hit the home runs. So they only told him to go up to Babe Ruth. Don't go further than that. So if you went further than that, who you think was up top, hitting 80 home runs a season? Josh Gibson. It's on record.
But let me go back about Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Now, in the last 40 or 50 years, in my own personal research, I found out that Babe Ruth might have been a black man.
He was. His mother is just like Campanella. Campanella, a black man do not have Campanella's name. Campanella's name is Italian. His mother worked for a doctor, and they had a baby, and that was Campanella.
The doctor?
The doctor went with Campanella's mother, and Campanella was born. Campanella was in the minors with Josh Gibson, but he didn't play all the time. He played once in a blue moon. That means that if they played 5 games, he might play 1.
But getting back to Babe Ruth, who for years was the pinnacle of, you've heard of Babe Ruth?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. But they called him all the ball players back in those days, the kids, the ball players where he played and everything, they called him a nigger. Because they seen his mother one time. She was black. The father owned a liquor store, a bar, and he had a baby. Why do you think Babe Ruth's nose is so big? That's not a normal nose for a guy. That's a black man's nose. You favor your family. It's like when they look at my son, Rolando, the lady said, damn, he favors you and his mother. His mother's Puerto Rican, but he favors you. And Rolando is like what, 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah. And
the women come to me, that is fine. They look like Frida Payne. They look like Eartha Kitt and all of them. And they said, he won't go out with me. I said, well, he's grown. He go out when you want. But Rolando speaks his mind. Rolando said, I like black women. She said, well, I'm fine. She said, why do you like black women? Because my father, when he took me out, he always took me around black women. He likes black women. Rolando likes black women. He likes black cooking, and he can cook. He can cook anything. He cook a piece of leather and you'll eat it. But I'm saying, these are the things that went on. Now, let me get back to the Buffalo Soldiers. The Buffalo Soldiers ran the frontier. Not one of them scalped the Indians. I want to tell you how scalping started. My father explained to me from his family being in slavery, the white man started scalping. You know how? For you to make money back in those days, if you would catch an Indian and scalp him and brought it in to the trading post, you would get $25 for that scalp. Now, $25 back in 18...
40, 50.
Say, no, 1850 was a lot of money. So you would kill the father, the mother, the sister, the babies, and they broke it down. For the father and the mother, you got $50. For the son, you got maybe 20. And break it down. For the baby, maybe you got $5. So they made pictures about that too. Western pictures about them scalping people. But the blacks, as far as my father tells me, and my uncles who were Buffalo Soldiers, they refused to scalp the Indians. That's why when they finished being Buffalo Soldiers, they went and lived with the Indians. White man didn't live with the Indians. And in those days, my father explained to me that if you married an Indian woman, you could go anywhere because you married an Indian woman. She was strong. She walked with you. She rode with you. She cooked. She sewed. She ironed. These women today can't boil water.
That's
Matter
not
of fact,
fair. That's not fair.
Oh, wait a minute, hold it. How do you
That's not fair,
how do you gonna wash and fix my food with nails that are 4 feet long?
Fix your own food.
How? Listen, what?
Fix your own food.
I can cook, but tell me something. She goes in the bathroom with nails like that. How does she wipe herself with those nails? Do you see they have some women that I seen on TV that came on this talk show. The guy is dead. What's his name? He used to come on at night. What's his name? She had nails going all around. And one of the questions he asked her was, when you get up in the morning, you wash yourself, how do you wash? She said, I'll show you. She had a trick. She would hold the soap this way, and he said, but how do you wash your privates with nails like that?
Get out of here.
I'm not joking. They had it on TV. What's the
Johnny
guy?
Carson?
Johnny Carson show. And Johnny Carson had Robert De Niro on his show, and all these fine women came out some were rich, everything. And she asked Robert De Niro, I want to go out with you. How come you don't date me? I grew up in Chelsea Hell's Kitchen in the Village. I went to school. That's where Robert De Niro is all the time, down the Village. And when he does the commercial for the last 3 or 4 years, that girl on his right and that black man on the left is his kids. He likes black women. He told him, he said, I only date black women. He said, wait a minute. He said, so-and-so, whatever name he called, she came out. She was built like a brick house. She wasn't beautiful, but he said, I like black women. They all turned, you know, white people, they turn red and yellow. He said, I like black women. I don't date. And it took him over 5 months before she went out with him. She worked as a waitress down the village. Another thing, growing up in my neighborhood, I never saw a cop shooting a black man.
Who were they shooting?
They weren't shooting anybody. I knew some cops that never even drew their gun. They were Irish. They walked the beat. They used to go in the Shamrock Bar in Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen and have a shot of brandy because they walked the beat with these long coats on, right?
In the winter.
And came out with sandwiches for us because once you brought a beer or you took a shot of liquor, you could get the food. The food was free.
Right.
And they brought us food out. Now, on the corner where I live was the mafia. They never bothered us as kids. They never bothered. And Murder Incorporated. We were standing on 8th Avenue, and this is on record, on 8th Avenue and 18th Street. Murder Incorporated came, went across the street, and killed the guy in the shoemaker. Came out, put the gun away. We seen him put the gun away, get in the car, and go south towards Brooklyn because that's where they came from. Murder Incorporated. We were standing on the corner. We seen the whole thing. So when they came to us and they said, "Did you see something?" We didn't see nothing. You didn't see nothing. The guy said, "But you were standing there." Cleo, who was like Hitler, if we said something, she would tell Mama, we were in trouble. You didn't see nothing. We didn't see nothing. You didn't talk. In my neighborhood, if you talked, they didn't care whether you were black, white, or something. They would get you. A woman could come home at 4 o'clock in the morning and nothing would happen to her, whether she was black, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban. There was no drugs sold on the street. In my day.
But wasn't there a guy, as I recall, selling drugs from your apartment? Not your apartment, but from your building.
No, not from the building. They were selling it at the corner, but they busted him. And my block was the numbers. My mother used to hit numbers for a penny, 5 cents, and 10 cents. When we hit for 10 cents, we had food. We had meat. I had eggs with brains. Imagine that. I had fish. I had chicken. I seen my father wring the chicken's neck, cut the chicken's head off, and the chicken was running towards me. I'm running, not knowing that the chicken's dead. He was just running towards me. After that, he dropped there. Cleo said, "What you running for?" I said, "He's running after me." I didn't know. I'm running. So there's a lot of things. When you went to the hospital, they didn't say, "Give me your insurance card." They waited on you. Now, even if you're shot and you're dying, they say, "What is your name? What insurance company you have?" After they take all that down, and then the doctor come in, you're dead. You're dead. I broke my ankle, which I was supposed to go to the minor leagues. This ankle I broke. The screw is still in there. The doctor who operated on my ankle said, you will never run as fast as you did, because I was running 9.5.
Hundreds.
Yeah, in the 100 dash. After I broke my ankle, I wasn't running that fast. So if you were black, you had to be super. Remember this, Willie Mays, they brought Hank Thompson from the Negro League up to be Willie Mays' roommate. When he broke his ankle, he couldn't play no more. Remember this, the first racial couple to be in the same room together,
Interracial.
you know who that was? Gail Sears and Bryant,
Piccolo.
who died of cancer. Gail Sears used to say, like they say, distance of 6 inches, 6 feet. He used to say, give me 6 inches and I'll give you a touchdown. And he was right. I seen him on my friend's TV because we were poor. We didn't have a TV. And if you fought with him, you couldn't watch TV. And I saw Gail Sears run for 6 touchdowns. And they did everything to hurt him. You can't do that now. After a guy go across the goal line, they used to punch him. Get him in the group and punch him. The only guy I saw that they never punched was Jim Brown, because he would hurt you running away from you. That's the guy I seen Jim Brown put his arm out and throw you 6 or 7 feet. And you know what Jim Brown used to do? I watched him on TV, not on my TV. We never had a TV. He went in front of the visiting team and did 200 push-ups. Jim Brown, 200 push-ups. Then he stand up and run, and then get on the field and dare you to tackle him, and he would run over you. Jim Brown, he was a force. They said even in high school, if you were running on the track and you were running, he would pull you and throw you back and run across the thing. Oh yeah, there's a lot. And people don't understand why Bob Gibson was so mad, because in 1968, when the Cardinals played Detroit, he had to stay in a different hotel. He couldn't stay with the team. Same thing would happen to Boston. Bob Cousy, Heinsohn, all of them went down south to play an exhibition game, 5 games. They put Bill Russell, Casey Jones, Sam Jones, at that time Willie Salisbury, and Willie Knowles in a dirty hotel room with bed bugs, rats, roaches, and everything. You have to stay here. That's the same thing they did to Ernie Davis at Syracuse when he won the Heisman Trophy.
Well, you're talking, most people don't know from that age, from that era.
Yeah.
You know? So let's bring it to something modern.
Okay. Martin.
One second. I never properly thanked you for being a mentor to my son. I remember when we were growing up, you were always active, you were always above average as a player, as a guy, just full of energy. When I brought John to you, I think he was about 7 or 8.
He was playing in the Little League.
He was in the Little League up there in Astor, Little League, and then to the Co-op City Little League.
I brought you videos.
Do you remember what happened?
I remember
then?
he was hit with the pitch, but I brought you videos that I had that I used to train. I used to see kids that play, and he said, I can't hit. I said, yes, you can. It's just that nobody told you what to do. As I was talking, I learned how to hit from a ping pong ball. A lot of people don't believe that. With a regular baseball bat, The guy was Italian. He played with me, Johnny Suma. He lived on 20th Street. I used to stand at least 8 feet to 9 feet away from him, and he used to throw that ping pong ball, and ping pong ball dances. And you hit that, then he goes. We would stay there from 7:30 in the morning to 12 o'clock. Then he would go home and eat, and I would go home and eat. Now, his mother was the same size as my mother because they used to go to school with his oldest brothers. So anytime I went by the house, they lived on the top floor, I would say, Johnny, come on down. The mother would look out and say, no, come upstairs, come upstairs. She always knew that my mother had 21. She had, I think she had 7 kids because they used to go to school and take the kids together. And she used to always say, come in, sit down, I'm gonna fix. I said, no, I'm not hungry. And the brothers used to say, leave him alone. We're just here. She said, you shut up. You cannot tell an Italian woman to go in her, I don't care what Italian woman it is. That kitchen is hers. You gotta get out. I learned that when I was small, when I was about 5 or 6. That kitchen belongs to that Italian woman. Because growing up, when they got married, I was like maybe 6 or 7. I used to sit with the Italian woman whose husband died, and she was all in black. And she had a big bag. And I asked her, I said, what's in the bag? She said, money, money, money. She didn't know anything about English. I said, what do you mean money? She said, they come before the wedding and they bring,
The funeral.
No. During the wedding, they bring money, envelopes. So this guy came with gifts. She said, this big Italian guy came out. He must have been 7 feet. He told the guy, he said, with his hand, he said, what is this? What is this? The guy said, I bring a gift. He said, no. The gift was supposed to bring last week. Now, envelopes. The guy went back and brought an envelope. So I told her, I said, an envelope? She said, yeah. She said, we trust you. She opened the envelope and she counted. It was $1, $2, $3, $4, $500. You don't go to no black wedding and they bring gifts. You Italian women, Italian wedding, you bring envelopes. And then the next day, there was 7 to 8 Italian women that I go and get the paper with. They walked me in the alley because they had the wedding at the church. They came there on 18th Street. They cleaned all the cars out, and they had the reception in the back of the building. It's still there. Then the sheet, they put the sheet out, and you know why they put the white sheet out? It had a red spot in it that she was a virgin. But she wasn't a virgin. So you know what they did?
How do you know?
Because the family told me. I was liked. The other guys used to get mad at me. How come you, before New Year's, you can be at their house eating and everything? Because I wasn't a troublemaker. They liked me. I go to the store and the woman said, here's 50 cents. I would run. Because my mother said, don't you take any money from them. They don't have anything. They're like us. They're poor. So I would run like a thief. I wouldn't take any money from them. If they were alive when I got out of high school, I wouldn't have to worry about nothing. They would take care of me. I'm telling you. I would have no problem. The mob. But one thing I learned from the mob, from the kid, he said, remember this, Milton, they hire you, but you will never be in the Italian family. You have to be blood, you have to be Italian to be in the family. But they like you, they hire you. Because when the father came home from work, I was at the table eating spaghetti and meatballs. The roll that they garlic bread. I had everything Italian, but when the family came, they would tell me, "You have to leave." I left. You know why? Why you think I left?
So you could come back again?
No. At the table, that's when they talk business. Did you go to school? What did you do? How did you do? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if you saw The Godfather, but when I went to see The Godfather when it first came out, wait 1 second, John.
It's always being replayed.
All the old Italians went to the theater. We went downtown. We were given a free pass. And when we were going in, I was going in with this young lady. The Italians were going in there and say, "We want to see if it's the real thing." And when they came out, we all came out together, and he said everything in there was real. Everything was in there was real. So, I mean...
Well, it was one of the best books I ever read, The Godfather.
Yeah.
You know, it was really, you don't really want to become in love or, you know,
Murder.
influenced by people killing each other and all that. But I could see how people could be driven to do these things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they talk today about Black Lives Matter and all of that stuff. When you don't think you're getting justice, sometimes you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And the way that they did it was kind of like bittersweet. You know, it's like the drug dealers in the ghetto. They sell to the people in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the people in the neighborhood, the people look like them, their lives are ruined. The Italians, and when they were doing this, they had what was called the Black Hand.
Yes.
And the Black Hand, if you had your business,
You have to pay me.
you gotta pay me. You wanna keep your business, you pay me. You know, you got your business, you gotta pay me.
They threatened Mario Lanza, too. They was gonna
You know,
kill him.
if you don't pay, you know, something could happen to you or your
Yeah.
kids. So people are using this as a way. Like I'm kind of disturbed now with all the shootings going on in Brooklyn, Bronx. You know, why are these people, don't they see what they are actually doing when they could use that same
Energy.
intelligence to build something, to become part of something? I've been intrigued by the fact that I met Rolando.
My
and
son.
Your son, Rolando. And you'd say that you have 16 kids now. This is
Yeah.
up from 12 a few months ago.
Well, I had to
How
go to
did you
court.
start? How did this all start, man? How did this start?
It started meaning that
When was your first encounter that you knew what, you know, your tools were for?
that was a Filipino girl I went with.
The very first one?
Yeah, Filipino.
In
And her mother had, it was Susanna, Sheila.
Can we mention names?
Yeah, Susanna, Sheila, her two other two daughters, and her son. And they used to come to St. Peter's. Susanna came to St. Peter's, and we just caught eyesight, and we hooked up together.
How old were you?
At that time, I was in high school. I think I was 15. I was 15. Susanna was 2 years younger than me. But Susanna was fantastic. I mean, she dressed nice, she made her own clothes and everything. Her mother was married to a Filipino, and he worked in a Chinese restaurant. She left him and hooked up with a black guy, and she had 5 more kids. Because I used to go to Brooklyn with Susanna and Shirley to see her mother. And when her mother met me,
Shirley's your sister.
Susanna's sister was Shirley. And we went to Brooklyn to her mother's house. At that time, her mother had a kid by this black man, and she was carrying a baby. And we went over there, and Susanna's mother said, I want to meet your family. I said, okay.
That's Pearl and
That's my
sisters.
mother. So she came over and she met my mother. I don't think she was happy when she met my mother because we didn't live in a nice place. Susanna didn't live in a nice place. She lived on 17th Street between 9th and 10th Avenue, see? And they had a subway apartment. When you walk in, it's straight
Railroad
apartment.
flat.
So when I came up to her house, I just came on a Hummer. But before that, we was in Joe's girlfriend's house after school. This was after high school. Joe's girlfriend lived on 21st Street, and her mother wasn't home until about 7 o'clock at night. So we went up there and played around. I tried at that time to penetrate her, but I didn't do it. But I didn't realize that I broke her cherry. So there was blood in the bed. So when her mother was washing the clothes, her mother called Maria and said, Maria, what is this blood here? Maria said, oh, we were up here playing and I think Milton cut his finger. So the mother believed her. Mm-hmm. So maybe a week later, I went by Susanna's apartment. And the father wasn't there. The 2 little daughters were there. And Shirley was there. And they were all, Milton, how are you? Fine. So I came in. So I was talking with Susanna. And they looked out the window and said, oh, man, my father's, or they looked out the door, my father's coming up the steps. So I got under the bed. He came in and the 2 little girls were just laughing. They were laughing. He just came home because he forgot something. So then he left and the 2 little girls and Shirley went up to the front. And that's when me and Susanna got into, we got together. And
that didn't lead to her getting pregnant.
Yeah.
It did?
Yeah, because I penetrated her and everything,
So that's number 1.
Number 1.
So
The
you were
Irish
15.
girl.
You were 15 or so.
Yeah, the Irish.
She got
girl,
pregnant.
Yeah, the Irish girl.
So you have a kid now who's 15.
She wasn't born yet. She was just pregnant. Then the Irish girl.
No, but I mean today. Mm-hmm. Are you still in touch with that child?
Yeah.
She's got to be 50-something.
50-something, because I seen my son, because she lived on 101st Street in Amsterdam, in the projects there. And I went by the house a number of times. But Susanna was a very beautiful woman now. I told you, she looked like, what's her name? Not Pearl Bailey.
Halle Berry?
She better than Halle Berry, the one that Joe Louis was married to.
Rose Morgan?
No, the other one he was married to. But anyway, it'll come to me. She was very pretty. And this guy who was a pilot, me and Susanna was going to go out, and he called her and said, listen, I'm coming over. So she said, Milton, I have to go someplace. But she told me she met this guy on the plane and he's going to take care of her. So that was it.
People say you are a hothead, you're out of control, you are unreasonable. How do you answer that?
I don't answer, because if you call me out my name, my mother taught me, If somebody treats you nice, I treat them nice. I have been in the park, outside, everywhere, and they call me names, I take care of it. And I was by myself. But you know what? One of my friends said, if you let Milton get to his car, you better not mess with him, because I always had my pistol with me. But I didn't take it on the court. I had a lot of guys at night try to come at me. But you know what? You let me get to my car, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't bother nobody or nothing. My mother said, if somebody puts their hand on you, she said, Milton, do bodily harm to them, because you don't bother no. I don't have people running in. You know the only people that come to my apartment? You, your wife, the young lady I'm seeing, Leroy, and my son. Those are the only people that come. And the last time my son was at my apartment, what is it, 3 years ago or 4 years ago? No, I don't have people traveling up and down my apartment. I don't trust these people. I trust you, I trust your son, I trust your wife is a princess. Every time I go to the house, you don't know, a lot of times I'm hungry. I don't have anything. She always feeds me. That's the Puerto Rican custom. She feeds me. She gives me things that I don't have anymore. And her sister, who passed away, always laughed with me. I learned how to dance by being with Puerto Ricans. I dance every day. I mean, there's no dance I can't do. You're talking about the whatever dance
Mambo.
they have. No, I'm talking about for the
Cha-cha.
blacks.
Oh.
They get together and they do the electric slide. I do all that. Electric slide, the mambo, calypso, all that. I can dance. But the point is that being the color of that, see that black bag? That's the color I was because I was in the sun all the time. The girls used to say, we don't want you, Milton, because you're black. All the guys I grew up with was the color of that couch. They were black, but they were the color. They wanted somebody with straight hair, nice.
The girls.
Yeah, and all those guys, cocaine, smoke, liquor, wine. They left here at, some of them left at 18, 19, 20, 21. I've been offered by all the guys that sell drugs.
Mm-hmm. What was your way of getting out of that? Didn't you just...
No, I just tell them, I'll be right back. I have to go to the bathroom. And they said, well, we're all men, you can piss here. I said, no, I got to take a shit. So when I said I had to take a shit, I left, got on the bus, and came home. Because the bus at that time, guess how much it was?
15 cents.
15 cents. It went up. And plus I had a bus pass. Sometimes I should use my bus passes, even though it was outdated. When you went to junior high school and high school, you got a bus pass you could use on the train or the bus. It was 50 cents a month. They had different colors. And after the first year, being in junior high school, I had all the colors. Sometimes I didn't buy a bus pass. I just looked to see, go in my drawer and get that color and show it. The bus driver just look. And my mother and me, while my sisters was in school, used to ride the bus from downtown to 155th Street. And then the bus turned around and come back. We didn't have to pay to get off. Mm-hmm. They don't do that no more. You get a transfer. We didn't get a transfer. You just stay on the bus. The bus run 8th Avenue all the way down to Wall Street.
That's all up to Polo Grounds?
Yeah,
and,
all the way up to the
Rucker
Polo Grounds.
Now.
We used to ride, turn around, and come back. And when I rode with my mother and Barbara, Joy, and Cleo, because my other sisters were big, we got on the bus free. Now, when somebody came on the bus, Mama did not have to tell us stand up. We stood up automatically because she explained to us. When we went out, I couldn't cry like these kids. Oh, I want this. What? My mother didn't wait till she get home because she explained to you. You didn't want any candy. My father made candy. He made ice cream. We had every kind of peanuts it was in the world. Okay, you had to be in the house. I'm talking about I was 17. I had to be in the house at 9 o'clock. So I used to leave the dance. I never checked my coat. I put it in a paper bag outside in the bushes at Hudson Gill or St. Peter's. And I would leave and go outside, take my thing and go home. I had to be home at 9 o'clock. I could not come home. That's me. I could not come because my mother was waiting on the stoop like Idi Amin. And if I came after 9 o'clock, I couldn't go out no more. Even when I played basketball, I had to bring a note from St. Peter's that I was going to be at the gym to 9:30. My mother didn't play. She didn't play. But you know what? I appreciate everything she did. I had to go to church at 6 in the morning, 8 to 12, and religious instruction from 3 to 6. That was every Sunday. I went. I know the books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd King, 1st and 2nd Esther. For God so loved the world, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish. That's 3:16. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pasture. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness. For my name's sake, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, thy comfort me. Thou preparest a table before my enemies. In the presence of my enemies, thou anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord. You had to say whatever they said in school, or you would not get a dessert. My mother could make cakes. You had to give her, you had to say, you had to come home and tell her what the pastor said. Cleo would tell everything. During the service, Milton got up and went to the bathroom. I couldn't do that. I had to go to the bathroom before church. I couldn't, like the guy would say, Milton, I just keep on, leave me alone. Because once I turned to talk to him, Cleo would tell Mama, Milton was talking in church. We all had Bibles. My mother taught you about the Bible. So she used to like play games. She said, the woman touched the hem of God's garment. And he said, who touched my garment? Peter said, oh, they all touched you. He said, no. The strength left him. The blind man. They said, we don't. He was born blind. Ask him. My mother used to tell us everything. I mean, it was the Bible. She believed in the Bible, and you had to do it. You don't know about what real hunger is. I wanted to make it. My mother used to dress us up every Easter. And she wore that same coat, same shoes from she had 1938, but we went out dressed at Easter. During Christmas time, I didn't get toys, I get clothes. I remember they gave Jackie Robinson a glove. The guy gave me a glove. I brought it, I said, Mama, look, he gave me a glove. She said, okay, I can sew it. I played with that. I played with that glove. I still have it. Because when I used to go someplace, I always brought a bag with me. And I used to carry the foil in the bag. So if it was chicken, I used to put it in there, fish, everything, and close the thing up. Then I had another foil to cover it up. I took it home. This is later on. You know, people don't understand the way things were.